Before we begin, I want you to pause for one moment and answer something quietly in your heart. Which country are you in right now? Just think about it. Picture your city, your room, the air around you right now. And then ask yourself, what time is it where you are? Look at the clock, really look. Because the time you are hearing this message is not an accident. It is not random. It is not coincidence. You could have been asleep. You could have been busy. You could have been watching something else. But Allah chose this exact moment in your country, at your time, for this message to reach your heart. Why? Because something in your life is happening that you can no longer ignore. Someone's behavior changed. Someone's loyalty shifted. Someone's reality is being shown to you by Allah bit by bit, through their distance, through their silence, through their inconsistency, through the heaviness you feel every time you think of them. And you came here not because you were bored, not because you wanted a video, but because your heart is tired. Something inside you is whispering, Ya Allah, show me what I cannot see. You don't even know why. You clicked at this moment in your part of the world at this exact time, but Allah knows. Allah brought you here. Allah guided your fingertips. Allah aligned the timing. Allah wrote this meeting long before you were born. You are here because what you're feeling is not paranoia. It is not overthinking. It is not weakness. It is a sign that Allah is showing you a truth your heart has been avoiding, a truth you were too loyal to face, a truth you needed to hear at this moment, in this hour, from this message. Stay with me. Don't scroll. Don't rush. Just breathe. Because the next words you hear may explain every confusion your heart has carried for months. By the time you reach the end of this video, you will understand exactly why Allah is exposing someone's reality and exactly why He chose your country and your time for this message to reach you. When Allah removes your blindness, the truth appears even without proof. My dear brothers and sisters, sometimes Allah shows you the truth in such a gentle, quiet way that you don't even realize what's happening at first. It doesn't come like lightning. It doesn't come with noise. It doesn't come with drama. It arrives slowly, softly, quietly, like a whisper touching the heart. You start noticing things that you never noticed before. A tone that feels different. A silence that feels heavy. A smile that no longer reaches the eyes. A presence that once calmed you now leaves you uneasy. And you ask yourself, why does this feel different? Why does my heart feel this shift? It is because Allah is removing a veil from your heart. A veil you didn't even know you were wearing. A veil made of loyalty, love, kindness and trust. When that veil lifts, the world doesn't change. You do. Your heart begins to see with a clarity you never had before. Your soul starts picking up signals that your eyes ignored. Your intuition becomes louder, sharper, more awake. You begin to understand the people around you not by what they say, but by how you feel around them. This is the beginning of spiritual awakening. It's not your imagination. It's not overthinking. It's not suspicion. It's Allah guiding your heart toward truth. He begins to show you tiny cracks in a person's character. Cracks you always excused. Cracks you covered. Cracks you blamed yourself for. You start realizing that the heaviness you feel isn't random. It's communication from heaven to your heart. Allah is telling you, my servant, pay attention. Something inside this situation is not good for your soul. You notice how someone talks differently when others are not around. You notice how their behavior changes when they don't need anything from you. You notice how their kindness disappears when it no longer benefits them. You notice how your heart reacts, how it tightens, how it becomes uneasy. This is not weakness. This is protection. Allah is saving you from a pain that would have destroyed you if He let you continue blindly. He allows these subtle signs to reach your heart so that you don't walk deeper into something that will crush you later. Because sometimes your kindness blinds you. Your loyalty blinds you. Your love blinds you. Your hope blinds you. You want to see the good in people. You want to believe their promises. You want to trust their words. You want to ignore the warning signs. But Allah does not want you to be harmed. So He removes the blindness. He makes the truth clearer with every passing day. You start feeling the emotional weight of the relationship. You start feeling the imbalance. You start realizing that you were giving everything while they were giving almost nothing. You start noticing how often you were the one fixing things. the one apologizing, the one trying, the one holding the connection together. And slowly, your heart begins to wake up. Not because you stopped caring, but because Allah is lifting you to a place of clarity, a place of self-respect, a place of spiritual protection. And in those moments, it feels painful. It feels like you're losing someone. It feels like everything is falling apart. It feels like your heart is breaking. But in reality, what's breaking is the illusion, not your soul. Allah is breaking the illusion so your soul can heal. Your heart becomes aware of things you used to explain away. You start remembering the times they made you feel small. You start remembering the times they laughed at your pain. You start remembering the times they made you feel like you were too much or not enough. You start realizing that the relationship didn't feel heavy by accident. It felt heavy because your soul was carrying the weight alone. And Allah is telling you, my servant, now you see, now your heart understands. Now you are ready to walk away from what was hurting you without you even knowing. This awakening feels like heartbreak. But in truth, it is the beginning of healing. Your heart becomes clearer while theirs becomes exposed. You may not know how to explain it in words. You may not have evidence. You may not have a story to tell, but your heart knows. And that knowing is enough, because when Allah shows you the truth, no proof is needed. The soul recognizes what the eyes cannot see. And you realize that what you thought was love was actually attachment. What you thought was loyalty was actually fear of being alone. What you thought was connection was actually you holding on long after Allah tried to pull you away. This realization is painful, but it is sacred. It is Allah saying, I have protected you from what you didn't know. I have removed the danger you didn't see. I have ended a story you were not strong enough to walk away from. And once the truth touches your heart, you can never go back to blindness again. Your soul refuses to settle for what once felt normal. Your heart refuses to believe the lies it used to swallow. Your mind refuses to ignore what Allah has already exposed. This is the mercy of Allah. This is the love of Allah. This is the protection of Allah. And this is only the first half. Allah lets masks fall when you refuse to see behind them. Once Allah begins to open your heart to the truth, something inside you changes forever. You start walking through life differently. You feel things more clearly. You notice what you used to overlook. You hear the meaning behind words, not just the words themselves. You begin to see how certain people treated you in ways you didn't deserve, and you realize that you accepted it because you were trying to keep peace, trying to keep love, trying to hold the relationship together with your bare hands. But Allah knew your heart was getting tired. He knew you were breaking inside. He knew you were losing pieces of yourself, trying to hold on to someone who wasn't even holding on to you. So He pulled the curtain back, and when He does that, you cannot unsee what He showed you. You notice how they never cared the way you cared. You notice how they never invested the way you invested. You notice how they never protected you the way you protected them. Allah reveals these truths slowly. So the shock doesn't destroy you, but heals you. You look back at conversations and suddenly understand what you missed before. You look back at their behavior and suddenly see the patterns you ignored. You look back at your own sacrifices and realize how much of yourself you poured into someone who didn't deserve the depths of your heart. And you sit there in silence, finally understanding why Allah made you feel uneasy around them, why He removed your peace in their presence, why He made you pull away even when you didn't know why. It was Him guiding you out of danger before the danger touched your soul. You begin reflecting on the times you felt small, the times you felt unappreciated, the times you cried alone, the times you doubted your own worth because someone couldn't see it. And something inside you whispers, I deserved better than how I was treated. That whisper is not arrogance, it is healing. It is Allah cleaning the wounds you didn't even know you had. You begin to understand that not everyone who smiles at you has a clean heart. Not everyone who speaks kindly has pure intentions. Not everyone who stays close is meant to stay in your story. And Allah helps you separate the true from the false, the sincere from the selfish, the loyal from the temporary. He does not do this to break you. He does it to strengthen you. He removes the people who dimmed your light, so He can send people who will protect it. He exposes the ones who were draining your spirit, so He can bring those who will nourish it. He ends the chapter that was harming you, so He can begin the chapter that will heal you. Sometimes you look at your past self and feel sad for them, for how much they tolerated, for how much they accepted, for how much they tried to fix things alone. But that sadness is also healing. It is Allah showing you how far you've come. You start understanding the reality behind your loneliness. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. It was Allah giving you space to see the truth clearly. He removed the noise so you could hear your heart. He removed the crowd so you could see the intentions. He removed the distractions so you could see the lies. And when truth finally settles in your heart, a new kind of peace enters your soul. Not immediately, not without pain, not without tears, but eventually a soft, pure, quiet peace settle inside you. You begin to thank Allah for what once felt like heartbreak. You begin to feel grateful for the separation that once felt confusing. You begin to understand that Allah was not taking something away from you. He was protecting your future. You realize that the truth Allah showed you saved you from years of emotional pain, from deeper wounds, from betrayal you wouldn't have survived, from heartbreak that would have left you spiritually exhausted. You start seeing the wisdom behind the delay, the distance, the silence, the exposure, and your heart whispers, now I understand. Now I see why Allah removed my blindness. Now I see why things needed to fall apart. Now I see why my soul felt uncomfortable. Allah was saving me from something I thought I needed. You begin rebuilding yourself slowly, softly, humbly, this time on truth, not illusion. You feel lighter because your heart isn't carrying a lie anymore. You feel stronger because you're walking with clarity. You feel more awake because your soul isn't asleep anymore. And you realize that clarity is one of the greatest forms of love Allah gives to a believer. He shows you what you needed to see, so you don't spend your life in a place that wasn't meant for you. He frees your heart so it can grow again. He frees your soul so it can rise again. He frees your path so the right people can enter. And in that moment, you finally understand what Allah reveals. He reveals out of mercy. What Allah exposes, He exposes out of protection. What Allah removes, He removes out of love. And the moment your blindness is gone, your life begins again. Your uneasiness around someone is a signal from Allah, not a weakness. As this clarity grows inside you, you start realizing something even more powerful. Not only did Allah open your eyes to people, He opened your eyes to yourself. You start understanding why you tolerated certain behaviors for so long. You start seeing how your heart kept choosing people who were never choosing you. You start noticing the parts of you that kept giving chances to those who didn't even respect the first one. This is not a moment of regret. It is a moment of awakening. You begin to see how many times you apologized just to keep the peace. How many times you stayed silent to avoid hurting someone who had no problem hurting you. How many times you convinced yourself that things would get better if you just loved a little more, tried a little harder, stayed a little longer. But now your heart whispers, you deserve peace too. And this whisper becomes louder every day. You start understanding why your chest felt heavy around certain people, why your laughter wasn't real in their presence, why your soul didn't feel safe sharing your joy or your pain with them. You realize that some people were never meant to hold your emotions because their hands were too weak, or too selfish, or too distracted to carry something as delicate as your heart. Allah knew this, so He removed the blindness before they dropped what you gave them. You start recognizing who you became around certain people. You became smaller, quieter, more uncertain, more afraid of being misunderstood, more worried about being too much or not enough. And as your clarity grows, you see that the version of you in that place was not the real you. It was a survival version. It was the version that adjusted itself just so it wouldn't be abandoned, just so it wouldn't be judged, just so it wouldn't be mocked, just so it wouldn't be rejected. And now you understand why Allah wanted to pull you out. You were slowly losing yourself, trying to keep someone else. You begin to understand the hidden wisdom behind every moment of discomfort, behind every tear you cried alone, behind every silent prayer where you asked Allah, why does this feel so heavy? Your heart wasn't weak. Your soul wasn't dramatic. Your spirit wasn't paranoid. It was Allah's way of guiding you away from a place where your light was dimming. And then something else happens. A miracle inside your chest. You stop blaming yourself. You stop saying, maybe I expected too much. Maybe I gave too much. Maybe I loved too deeply. And instead you say, no, I was sincere, I was loyal, I was genuine, I had the jen. Your sincerity was not the problem. Their capacity was. Your loyalty was not the issue. Their character was. Your softness was not a mistake. Their heart was not prepared for the kind of soul you carried. This is when the healing begins. You start seeing yourself through Allah's mercy. Instead of through someone's mistreatment, you begin to value the heart Allah gave you. You begin to appreciate the kindness that flowed from you. You begin to thank Allah for protecting a heart as pure as yours from people who didn't know how to hold it. And as you walk through this new clarity, you begin to understand another truth. What Allah removes from you was never meant for you. What Allah reveals to you was always meant to guide you. What Allah lets you feel was always the warning your future needed. Your soul becomes calmer. Your mind becomes clearer. Your chest becomes lighter. You start trusting your intuition again. The intuition Allah placed in you as a compass for your life. You start understanding that some endings were actually beginnings in disguise. Some losses were actually rescues. Some rejections were actually redirections. Some departure were actually protection. And then comes the moment where the awakening reaches its highest level. You stop wishing for the old blind version of yourself to return. Because now you know that blindness would have led you to destruction. Now you know that clarity saved you from emotional collapse. Now you know that if Allah had not removed your blindness, you would have kept giving your heart to someone who saw it as a convenience, not a blessing. And once this realization settles inside you, you begin thanking Allah for every sign you once ignored, for every feeling you once dismissed, for every discomfort you once ran away from. You begin to thank Him for showing you who people truly were behind the smiles, behind the words, behind the promises. And you begin to feel stronger, not because people changed, but because you changed. You grew wiser, you grew calmer, you grew more selective with your heart. You grew more connected to Allah. You grew more protective of your soul. And then something beautiful happens. You no longer need closure from people. You no longer need explanations. You no longer need apologies. You no longer need someone to tell you why things happened the way they did. Because the clarity Allah placed in your heart became the closure. And that clarity is enough. You begin walking with your head high, your heart pure, your soul awake, your mind peaceful. And for the first time in a very long time, you feel safe inside your own chest. You feel home inside yourself. You feel aligned with Allah. You feel guided. You feel protected. Your story is not ending here. Your story is restarting here. With clarity, with strength, with spiritual maturity, and with the light Allah placed inside you. After removing the blindness you carried for years. And this is the moment your new life truly begins. Allah shows you hidden conversations you were never meant to hear. My dear brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when Allah allows you to witness something you were never supposed to hear, never supposed to read, never supposed to see with your physical eyes, but He lets it reach you so your heart can wake up. It might be a small comment said when someone thought you weren't listening. It might be a message you accidentally came across. It might be a tone you overheard in the next room. It might be a conversation that was never meant for your ears. But somehow, some way, Allah places it right in front of you, not because He wants to hurt you, not because He wants to embarrass anyone, not because He wants to create conflict. He does it because He sees what you don't. He hears what you can't. He knows what your heart is too loyal to accept. And He wants to protect you before the pain becomes unbearable. Sometimes you hear a sentence that stops you in your tracks, not because of the words, but because of the truth behind them. A truth you didn't know existed. A truth that explains the heaviness you felt. A truth that exposes what the smile was hiding. A truth that shows you the real face behind kindness. And for a moment, your heart breaks quietly. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly in a place no one else can see. Because now you understand why things felt different, why their tone changed, why their energy shifted, why your heart felt uneasy around someone you used to trust. Allah allowed you to hear what would have been hidden forever. You try to make sense of it. You try to understand it. You try to convince yourself it wasn't what it sounded like. But deep down, you know it was real. You know, Allah doesn't show you something this clearly without a reason. He didn't let you see it to destroy you. He let you see it so you stop destroying yourself by holding on to someone who was never holding on to you. Sometimes He shows you how people speak about you when you're not in the room. Sometimes He lets you hear the laughter that mocks your sincerity. Sometimes He reveals the complaints that contradict the sweetness they show to your face. Sometimes He exposes the fake loyalty that disappears the moment you're not beneficial to them. And that hurts. It really does. It burns in a way that's hard to describe. You feel confused, disappointed, shocked, heartbroken, silent. You begin replaying everything in your mind, every moment, every memory, every conversation, every promise. You start questioning what was real and what was just performance. And you wonder, why did Allah let me hear this? Why now? Why me? Because He knew you wouldn't walk away without seeing the truth. He knew your heart was too soft, too forgiving, too hopeful, too attached. He knew you would keep trusting them even after they showed you red flags. He knew you'd keep giving chances even when they didn't deserve them. He knew you'd keep apologizing even when you went wrong. So Allah chose a moment where the truth would reach you without confusion. Not through signs you might misread, not through feelings you might ignore, not through advice you might reject. He delivered truth in a way you couldn't escape, couldn't deny, couldn't explain away. And in that moment, you realized that Allah was saving you. He was protecting the future version of you. He was protecting the heart. You don't protect enough. He was protecting your peace, your dignity, your emotional stability. He was stopping a future heartbreak by giving you a present clarity. And as painful as it feels, you start seeing the wisdom. If Allah didn't show you that conversation, you would still be believing a lie. If He didn't reveal their real words, you would still be trusting false actions. If He didn't expose the hidden truth, you would still be holding on to someone who was quietly damaging your soul. You see, some truths you discover with your eyes, some truths you discover with your heart, but some truths Allah Himself places in front of you because your future needs them. And the truth He showed you wasn't a punishment, it was protection. You begin to realize that the pain you feel right now is nothing compared to the pain you would have felt if Allah hadn't stopped you today. He allowed a small hurt to save you from a future disaster. He allowed a temporary heartbreak to save you from lifelong emotional suffering. He allowed your tears today to save you from drowning tomorrow. And as your heart sits with the truth, you begin to grow stronger. You begin to see people for who they are and not who you want them to be. You begin to listen more to what they do and less to what they claim. You begin to protect your heart the way Allah always wanted you to. And slowly, your heart starts healing. Not because the truth was easy, but because the truth was necessary. You start thanking Allah for letting you hear what was hidden, for letting you see what was disguised, for letting you understand what was unclear. And eventually, you realize something beautiful. What Allah revealed was never meant to break you, but to build you. What He allowed you to hear was never meant to embarrass you, but to free you. What He exposed was never meant to ruin your trust, but to guide your trust toward people who deserve it. And this, my dear soul, is one of the greatest gifts from Allah. He shows you hidden conversations so you don't become hidden from yourself. Once Allah opens the door to a hidden conversation, your heart enters a stage of deep reflection. Not anger, not revenge, not bitterness. Reflection. You begin to remember the moments you defended that person, the times you spoke highly of them, the times you excused their behavior, the times you protected their reputation, even when they weren't protecting yours. You recall the days you cried for them, the nights you prayed for them, the effort you put into understanding them. And now you realize they weren't who you thought they were. And that hurts. It hurts in a quiet way, a way that doesn't scream but whispers inside the chest. You sit alone with your thoughts and ask yourself, how long have they felt this way about me? How many times have they spoken like this? How blind was I to not see it? And then another realization touches your heart. You weren't blind. You were loyal. You weren't stupid. You were sincere. You weren't weak. You were loving. Your kindness wasn't a flaw. It was a mirror of your beautiful heart. But Allah knew that your heart could not see everything. So He showed you a piece of truth that would unlock the bigger picture. He didn't show you everything. He showed you enough. Enough to wake you, enough to guide you, enough to protect you. You begin to see the wisdom in what happened. That message you saw, that comment you overheard, that sentence they whispered, that reaction they thought you didn't notice, it was all part of a divine plan to free you. If Allah didn't reveal it in that exact moment, you would have kept walking into a deeper sadness, a deeper emotional pit, a deeper betrayal. He saved you without you even knowing you needed saving. And now, slowly, your heart begins to detach in ways you never imagined. Not out of hatred, but out of clarity. Not out of anger, but out of wisdom. Not out of pride, but out of self-respect. You start seeing that you were investing in a heart that never cared enough to invest back. You were building a bridge while they were burning it quietly behind your back. You were giving love to someone who gave you convenience. You were offering sincerity to someone offering you a role, not a relationship. And Allah says to your heart, my servant, this is why I showed you. So you would not spend years watering a dead garden. And suddenly, you begin to understand why your prayers about this person felt unanswered. Allah wasn't ignoring you. He was protecting you. He didn't let your wishes come true because your wishes were connected to a person who didn't value you. He didn't let the relationship deepen because the deeper it went, the harder it would be for you to leave. He didn't let your heart feel comfortable because comfort would have trapped you in a lie. So He made that hidden conversation reach you a single moment that changed your entire understanding of a person. And yes, it hurts, it stings, it shakes the trust you once had. It makes you look at memories differently. But in that pain, something powerful is happening. Your heart is being cleaned. Your soul is being redirected. Your future is being protected. Your inner compass is being recalibrated. You start asking yourself deeper questions. What did Allah want me to learn from this? What was He saving me from? What chapter is He closing in my life? And the truth becomes clearer. Allah did not show you the conversation for you to fight. He did not show it for revenge. He did not show it so you would become bitter. He showed it so you could walk away with dignity, with peace, with wisdom, with awakened eyes. He showed you so you could live with truth, not illusion. He showed you so you would not confuse fake sweetness with real loyalty. He showed you so you would stop writing a story that was never meant to be your happily ever after. And slowly, your heart becomes grateful for the very thing that hurt it. You begin to say, Alhamdulillah, I didn't know the truth, but Allah did. Your tears become softer. Your breathing becomes calmer. Your soul becomes steadier. You stop checking on people who don't check on you. You stop running after people who never cared if you stayed or left. You stop explaining yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. You begin valuing silence over argument, distance over begging, peace over chaos, truth over attachment. And that hidden conversation becomes the turning point of your spiritual life. It changes how you love. It changes how you trust. It changes how you choose people. It changes how you listen to your heart. Because now your heart knows that Allah will never let you walk blindly. When He knows blindness will break you, and there comes a moment where you finally release the person completely, not with hatred, not with anger, but with acceptance. You accept that the version of them you created in your mind was not the real them. You accept that Allah revealed the truth so you could be free. You accept that no matter how much you wish the past was different, Allah's plan was always protecting you. And in that acceptance, a beautiful kind of peace settles inside you. A peace that doesn't rely on people. A peace that doesn't depend on apologies. A peace that doesn't need closure. A peace that comes from knowing Allah showed you for a reason. Allah saved you for a reason. Allah removed you for a reason. Your heart, once heavy with confusion, is now light with clarity. Your soul, once tied to the wrong person, is now free to receive the right one. Your path, once crowded with pain, is now open for blessings. And the hidden conversation you heard becomes the doorway to a new, protected, peaceful chapter of your life. When someone's absence brings you peace, that is Allah removing harm. My dear brothers and sisters, sometimes Allah removes someone from your life and the world goes quiet in a way you can't explain. A silence enters your heart. A calmness settles around your chest. A gentle stillness replaces the storm you carried for months, maybe years. And you wonder, why does this feel peaceful when it should feel painful? Why does my heart feel lighter without them? Why is their absence giving me a comfort their presence never gave me? This is one of the clearest forms of Allah's protection, because peace does not come from people, peace comes from Allah. And Allah will never allow peace to arrive through someone who is harmful for your soul. Sometimes you don't realize how heavy a person was on your heart until Allah lifts them out of your life. You don't realize how much noise their presence created until Allah gives you the gift of silence. You don't realize how deeply exhausted your spirit was until Allah allows you to finally breathe again. This is not abandonment. This is not loneliness. This is divine healing. There are people whose presence creates restlessness even if they never say a word. There are people whose energy drains you even if nothing obvious is happening. There are people whose hearts clash with yours even if the connection once felt perfect. Your heart tries to stay loyal, but your soul feels unsafe. Your mind tries to continue, but your peace keeps breaking. Your emotions try to fight for them, but something inside keeps whispering, this isn't good for you. Allah sees things you can't see. Allah hears things you don't hear. Allah knows things you can't understand yet. So He removes certain people, not because you hate them, not because they are always bad, but because your soul was suffocating around them. And when Allah removes them, you sleep better, you breathe deeper, you wake up calmer, you feel lighter, your heart whispers. This is what safety feels like. Sometimes you think you miss them, but when you sit quietly with yourself, you realize you don't miss them. You miss the idea of what you hoped they would be. Because the real version of them was breaking your spirit slowly. You didn't notice it at first. You kept giving chances. You kept fixing things. You kept forgiving. You kept trying to hold on to something that Allah was gently trying to remove. But when they finally left, your heart didn't collapse. It relaxed. That peace you feel after they're gone is not a coincidence. It is a message from Allah. My servant, I have removed what was harming you. Not because you asked for it, but because I love you. You begin to understand that their absence is not an empty space. It is a healing space, a space where your soul can breathe, a space where your heart can repair, a space where your mind can rest, a space where your future can grow again. You may remember the stress you carried trying to keep that relationship alive. You may remember the nights you cried quietly because something didn't feel right. You may remember the ache you felt when they made you feel unimportant. You may remember the anxiety you ignored just to keep them close. But now, in their absence, you feel peace, not because you stopped caring, but because Allah stopped the harm before it damaged you beyond repair. Sometimes Allah removes someone because He knows their heart was not sincere. Sometimes He removes someone because He knows they were speaking badly about you in private. Sometimes He removes someone because He knows they would never choose you the way you were choosing them. Sometimes He removes someone because they were blocking blessings He planned for you. Sometimes He removes someone because their presence was delaying your healing. And you didn't know any of this, but Allah did. He saw the future you couldn't see. He saw the truth you couldn't detect. He saw the pain you were walking into. He saw the tears you would have cried years later. So He protected you now to save you from breaking later. That peace you feel today is the result of a war inside your soul that Allah ended for you. Sometimes He removes a person because your heart was never safe with them. Only Allah knows how many silent heartbreaks He saved you from. Only Allah knows how many nights He prevented you from crying. Only Allah knows how much pain He blocked. By removing the wrong person at the right time, you think losing them is loss, but losing harm is not loss. It is mercy. Your peace is the proof when a person is right for your soul. Their presence brings calmness. You feel lighter, you feel safe, you feel clarity, you feel steadiness. But when Allah removes someone and suddenly your peace returns, your sleep improves, your thoughts become clearer, your stress begins to disappear, then understand deeply, their presence was harming your heart more than you realized. It doesn't matter how close they once were. It doesn't matter how much history you had. It doesn't matter how many memories you shared. It doesn't matter how deeply you wished it would work. If someone's absence brings you peace, Allah is telling you something you couldn't tell yourself. You were holding on to a burden, not a blessing. And Allah, out of His love, lifted that burden off your chest. Your heart may resist at first. Your mind may cling to the memories. Your emotions may feel confused. But your soul knows. Your body knows. Your peace knows. Peace never leaves. Peace is Allah's language. Peace is Allah's signal. Peace is Allah's sign that you're being protected. Peace is Allah's way of saying, I want you to heal now. The moment you feel peace without someone, it means Allah has already written a better path for you, a better environment for your heart, a healthier journey for your spirit. You are not losing anything. You are being guided towards something better. Trust the peace. It is never accidental. Allah reveals true loyalty through your hard time. My dear brothers and sisters, there are moments in your life where Allah takes you through difficulty, not to break you, but to show you who is truly standing beside you. Hardship is not only a test of your patience, it is a test of people. It reveals the hearts around you in ways comfort never can. When life is easy, everyone smiles. Everyone appears supportive. Everyone looks loyal. Everyone feels close. But the moment hardship touches your life, the moment your world shakes, the moment you weaken, the moment you fall, that is when Allah begins to show you who is real and who is only attached to the version of you that benefited them. You start noticing who checks on you and who doesn't, who stands by you and who quietly slips away, who asks how you're doing and who acts like nothing happened, who cares and who pretends. Pain opens your eyes more than happiness ever will. Hard times expose everything. They expose intentions. They expose sincerity, they expose love, they expose character. People can fake kindness in comfort, but they cannot fake loyalty in hardship. Allah allows this shift because He wants you to see the truth about the hearts you trusted. He wants to show you the difference between those who say they care and those who truly do. Between those who stay for convenience and those who stay for you. Between those who love your light and those who can sit with you in your darkness. And sometimes the truth hits hard. People you never expected to leave disappear. People you trusted with your heart step back. People you helped become silent. People you stood for walk away. And that hurts. It hurts deeply, silently, quietly, painfully. You begin to wonder, did I mean nothing to them? Did they ever care? Was I blind this whole time? Oh. And in that confusion, Allah brings another realization. It's not that you meant nothing. It's that your hardship revealed their reality. Hardship doesn't change people. It shows people. It shows who values you. Not for your success or your strength or your resources or your position, but for your soul. You begin to see how many people loved you only when you were shining. How many stayed close only when things were easy. How many cared only when you were giving. How many supported only when you were strong. But the moment you stumbled, the moment you became weak, the moment you needed them, they became strangers. Some disappear because helping you doesn't benefit them. Some disappear because your struggle is too heavy for their comfort. Some disappear because they never truly cared. They only cared about what they got from being near you. And Allah knows your heart is too gentle to see this truth on your own. So He lets hardship come not to punish you, but to protect you from relationships that would have crushed you later. He allows pain to save you from worse pain. He allows loneliness to save you from false companionship. He allows people to leave so your heart can stop depending on the wrong souls. And as painful as it feels, this exposure is mercy because it also reveals something beautiful. It reveals the hearts that are truly meant for you. The ones who stay even when you have nothing to offer. The ones who check on you without expecting anything back. The ones who sit with you in silence. The ones who carry your pain when your shoulders collapse. The ones who don't let your tears fall alone. The ones whose loyalty deepens when life becomes difficult. These are rare souls. Pure soul. Sincere souls. Allah shows you who they are through your hardship, because hardship removes masks. The people who remain in your life during your lowest point are not casual connections. They are gifts from Allah. They are the ones written in your destiny long before your struggle even began. They are the ones chosen by Allah to walk with you through your darkest journeys. Their loyalty is not loud, it is steady. Their support is not dramatic, it is consistent. Their love is not attention seeking, it is sincere. Their presence is not for show, it is for your soul. Sometimes Allah removes 20 people just to show you the value of one genuine heart. And you begin to understand why Allah takes you through difficulty, not to break your trust in people, but to deepen your trust in Him. Not to make you hard-hearted, but to make you wise-hearted. Not to make you lonely, but to help you see who is truly worth walking with. And then something powerful happens inside you. You stop chasing people who don't chase you. You stop begging for attention from those who don't offer it willingly. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop holding on to relationships that fall apart as soon as life becomes difficult. You start appreciating those who stay. You start valuing small acts of loyalty. You start understanding that sincerity is more valuable than popularity. That presence is more meaningful than promises. That actions reveal truth more than words ever could. And slowly, your pain becomes wisdom. Your heartbreak becomes clarity. Your loneliness becomes purification. Your difficulty becomes a filter that Allah used to separate the real from the fake. And in that moment, your heart whispers, "Now I see who is truly mine and who was never meant to stay." And this, my dear soul, is one of the highest forms of guidance. As your hardship continues, you begin to notice patterns in people's behavior that were invisible in your days of ease. There are those who quietly distance themselves the moment life becomes heavy for you. They don't say anything harsh. They don't announce their exit. They simply slip away as if your difficulty is something contagious they don't want to catch. And their distance speaks louder than their words ever did. Because when you needed reassurance, they gave you silence. When you needed presence, they became invisible. When you needed loyalty, they became busy. You begin to understand that some people loved you not because of who you were, but because of how you made them feel. As long as you were smiling, they smiled. As long as you were giving, they stayed. As long as you were strong, they leaned on you. But the moment you became human, the moment you fell, the moment you struggled, the moment you broke, they walked away. And Allah allows this so your heart stops depending on people who were only loyal to your good times. You start seeing how some people were attracted not to your heart, but to your strength. Not to your soul, but to your usefulness. Not to your sincerity, but to your benefits. And when those benefits disappear, so do they. This revelation hurts. It cuts deeply. It feels unfair. It feels lonely, but in that loneliness, your heart begins to grow wise. You begin to understand that Allah removed certain people not because He wanted you to suffer, but because He wanted to save you from relationships that were built on shaky foundations. Hardship shows you who truly has the capacity to care for you. Some people simply don't have the emotional depth to support anyone through difficulty. They can only handle sunshine, not storms, celebrations, not sadness, victories, not vulnerability. And Allah does not want you to build your future with people who cannot sit with you in your pain. He wants you to have people who will wipe your tears, not judge them. People who will sit with you in silence, not run away from your sadness. People who will hold your hand when the rest of the world loses interest. These are the people Allah keeps in your life. People who see your weakness and don't see you as less. People who see your tears and don't take advantage. People who witness your mistakes and still choose you. People who stand with you, not because it benefits them, but because their heart is woven with sincerity. Hardship makes these people visible. It shines a spotlight on the rare souls who love you, not for what you give or what you provide or what you achieve. You begin to see that the ones who stayed didn't stay because they had no choice. They stayed because their hearts were pure. And Allah wants you to know the difference between company and companionship, between closeness and unity, between being around people and being supported by them. This clarity shapes your future. You stop believing empty promises because you've seen which promises survive hardship and which ones break under pressure. You stop believing people's words because hardship taught you that actions are the real language of loyalty. You stop holding on to relationships that crumble the moment you need them. And slowly, your heart begins to reorganize itself. You place people in different categories now, not out of arrogance, but out of wisdom. You learn who to trust deeply and who to trust lightly. You learn who deserves your vulnerability and who deserves only a polite smile. You learn who has earned a place in your heart and who has earned a place in your past. This is not bitterness, this is growth. Because hardship didn't only show you who others were, it showed you who you are. It showed you your strength. It showed you your patience. It showed you your resilience. It showed you how much Allah has protected you. It showed you that even when people left, Allah never did. And because He never left, you survived what you thought would break you. You survived the nights you thought would drown you in fear. You survived the days you thought would crush your spirit. You survived the moments when your own heart felt too heavy. Allah was revealing loyalty not only in people, but in Himself. When the world left you, He stayed. When people ignored you, He listened. When friends forgot you, He remembered. When your heart broke, He held it. And once you feel the loyalty of Allah, your expectations from the world change. You no longer beg for attention. You no longer chase after people. You no longer lower yourself for company. You no longer confuse closeness with loyalty. You begin to move differently, with more dignity, with more certainty, with more peace. Because now you know that the ones who are meant for you will walk with you, not only in sunlight, but in storms. You know that Allah removes people during your hardships because He is preparing you for relationships that can withstand real life, not just highlight moments. You know that your value is not measured by who leaves you, but by who Allah allows to stay. And you know that every single person who walked away during your pain was someone Allah never intended to carry you into your future. Let them go. Let the truth settle. Let your heart heal. Let your life make space for the few loyal hearts Allah has chosen for you. And always remember, hard times don't change real people. They reveal them. And the loyalty Allah reveals through your hardship is a gift you will thank Him for again and again for the rest of your life. Allah exposes people you are too loyal to walk away from. My dear brothers and sisters, there are times in your life where your heart becomes so loyal, so sincere, so forgiving that you continue holding on to people long after Allah has shown you they are not good for your soul. You stay even when they hurt you. You stay even when they disappoint you. You stay even when something inside you whispers that this connection is damaging you quietly. And Allah, in His infinite mercy, knows that your heart is too kind to let go on its own. So He steps in. He exposes the truth in ways that you cannot ignore, cannot deny, cannot silence. Not to humiliate, but to liberate. Not to break you, but to save you. Not to punish them, but to protect you. Because Allah knows you would carry pain silently. As long as the person is standing next to you, you would accept disrespect as long as they occasionally show affection. You would overlook signs as long as your heart is attached, and your attachment becomes the very thing that blinds you. So Allah exposes. He shows you actions that reveal intentions. He shows you reactions that reveal feelings. He shows you patterns that reveal truth. He shows you moments that reveal hearts. You begin noticing things you once explained away. The lack of effort, the silent distance, the hesitation in their care, the absence in your pain, the coldness in their voice, the shift in their energy, These were always there, but your loyalty made excuses for them. You told yourself they were busy. You told yourself they were tired. You told yourself it would get better. You told yourself love can fix everything. You told yourself your patience will heal them. But Allah knew the truth. You were slowly losing yourself, trying to keep someone who was never holding you. And because He loves you, He doesn't let you stay blind forever. So He reveals a moment that breaks the illusion, a moment that makes everything click, a moment that wakes your heart like lightning in the dark. Maybe you heard something you were not meant to hear. Maybe you saw something you were not meant to see. Maybe you felt something you were not meant to ignore. Maybe you realized something your soul had been whispering for months. Whatever it was, it opened your eyes. You tried to deny it at first. You tried to close your heart again. You tried to tell yourself it wasn't what it looked like. You tried to justify them. You tried to protect their image in your mind. But the truth keeps returning like a wave, stronger each time. Allah keeps sending signs until you finally accept what He has been trying to show you. My servant, this person is not good for your soul. You are holding on to someone I am trying to remove. And when Allah exposes someone, He exposes them gently, not in a way that destroys your dignity, but in a way that awakens it. You begin to see how often they were absent when you needed them, how often you carried the relationship alone, how often you sacrificed while they barely moved, how often you forgave what they never apologized for, how often you gave love to someone who gave you confusion, and the biggest truth of all, how much pain you accepted just to keep the connection alive. This realization doesn't hit you all at once. It comes slowly, softly, painfully, because Allah exposes in stages, not to shock you, but to gently detach your heart. The exposure becomes clearer each time you reflect. That uneasy feeling in your chest was protection. That small disappointment was a signal. That uncommon silence was a sign. That sudden distance was a warning. That ignored message was a reminder. That shift in their tone was clarity. Everything you called small was actually Allah trying to help you see. You realize that the person you were loyal to was not loyal to your soul. You realize that you were committed to someone whose heart was elsewhere. You realize that you were building a future with someone who was building excuses. And finally, the most difficult truth, you were loving someone who was only using you as an option. And Allah knew you would never walk away as long as the door remained open. So He closes it, not with cruelty, but with mercy. He lets something happen that hurts you so much, you cannot go back to blindness. He lets the truth fall so clearly that you cannot misunderstand it. He lets your heart crack just enough to set it free. And in that moment, you feel broken, but something inside you knows this is divine intervention. You weren't strong enough to leave, so Allah pushed you gently toward the exit. You weren't brave enough to protect your soul, so Allah protected it for you. You weren't ready to lose them, but Allah knew you would lose yourself if you stayed. And that is when your healing begins. You stop making excuses. You stop over-explaining. You stop chasing. You stop begging for clarity. You stop fighting for someone who wasn't fighting for you. And slowly, your heart begins to breathe again. You realize that the pain of seeing truth is far lighter than the pain of living a lie. You realize that Allah didn't expose them to break your heart, but to open your life. You realize that what felt like loss was actually the beginning of freedom. And your soul whispers, "Thank you, Allah, for removing what I was too loyal to release." The exposure that felt like heartbreak becomes the doorway to your spiritual upgrade. When Allah shows you someone's reality, it means someone sincere is written for you. My dear brothers and sisters, there comes a moment in life where Allah shows you the true reality of someone you deeply loved, trusted, or believed in. A moment where the mask falls. A moment where the truth rises to the surface. A moment where your heart finally sees what it tried so hard not to see. And that moment feels painful, but it is one of the highest forms of love Allah gives His servant. Because Allah does not show you someone's reality to break you. He shows you because someone sincere is already written for your future. Sometimes the truth hurts, not because it is cruel, but because it is honest. You see a side of someone that shakes your heart. Maybe you see selfishness you didn't notice before. Maybe you see disloyalty hidden behind sweet words. Maybe you see indifference behind fake concern. Maybe you see dishonesty behind practiced charm. Maybe you see inconsistency where you once saw commitment. And your heart whispers, "This is not what I believed." But Allah whispers, "This is what you need to know to move forward." The truth you see today saves you from a lifetime of disappointment tomorrow. If Allah didn't reveal who they truly were, you would have continued loving with closed eyes. You would have continued trusting with an unprotected heart. You would have continued giving to someone who would not give back. And Allah loves you too much to let you walk into heartbreak blindly. So He shows you signs, softly at first, then loudly when your heart ignores them, a coldness in their tone, a distance in their presence, a lack of effort when you're struggling, a lack of happiness when you succeed, a lack of loyalty when you are weakest, a lack of honesty when you need truth the most. These are not accidents. These are warnings, signs from Allah that the person you prayed for is not the person written for you. And even though you cry, even though you struggle to accept it, even though part of you still wishes the story could continue, your soul begins to understand something deeper. Allah removes what is temporary to make space for what is written. Allah exposes who is not sincere to prepare you for who truly is. Allah closes a chapter with someone who drains you so He can open a chapter with someone who nourishes you. The truth is, your heart would have never left on its own. You were too loyal, too forgiving, too loving, too hopeful, too attached. So Allah removed the illusion before it destroyed you. And in that painful clarity, something else happens inside your heart. You start realizing the kind of love you deserve. A love that doesn't disappear when you're struggling. A love that doesn't become cold when you need warmth. A love that doesn't punish you for being human. A love that doesn't turn its back when life becomes heavy. A love that remains steady even when the world shakes. Allah knows you deserve that. Allah knows your soul needs that. Allah knows your heart was designed for sincerity, not inconsistency. So He protects you by removing what was not meant to stay. Every time the truth hurts, your heart grows softer toward Allah and wiser toward people. You begin to understand that the ending you feared is the beginning you needed. You begin to understand that Allah did not expose their reality to kill your hope. He exposed it to redirect it. Your hope wasn't meant to be tied to someone temporary. Your trust wasn't meant to be tied to someone shaky. Your love wasn't meant to be tied to someone unsure. Allah has written someone for you whose heart will align with yours in a way this person never could. Someone who will love you without fear. Someone who will respect you without reminders. Someone who will support you without hesitation. Someone who will choose you without conditions. Someone who will stay loyal, not because life is easy, but because their heart is pure. The moment Allah shows you who someone truly is, He is clearing the space for that kind of soul to enter your life. You may not see them yet. You may not meet them soon. You may not even know they exist. But Allah knows. Allah says, Allah plans. And He knows exactly who your heart will feel safe with, who your soul will rise with, who your future will bloom with, who your tears will be safe with, who your dreams will be protected with. But before He sends you that person, He must first remove the one who wasn't written for you. A heart cannot hold truth and illusion at the same time. So Allah takes away the illusion first. And yes, it feels like loss. Yes, it feels like sadness. Yes, it feels like emptiness. Yes, it feels like something important has been taken away. But in reality, Allah has only removed what would have harmed you. Your peace returning is the proof, because when Allah exposes someone, He also strengthens your heart. He softens your pain. He heals your trust. He prepares your soul for something far more genuine. You may look back one day and thank Allah for the truth He showed you, because that truth saved you from a lifetime of emotional confusion. And you will say to yourself, if Allah didn't expose that person, I would have missed the one who was truly meant for me. Someone sincere is written for you. Someone gentle. Someone patient. Someone whose heart matches your soul. Someone who won't need signs to prove their love. Someone who won't need reminders to stay loyal. Someone who won't need tests to treat you right. And when Allah shows you someone's reality, it is because that person would have stood in the way of this true blessing. Allah removes what blocks your heart so He can give you what completes your heart. Once Allah has shown you the reality of someone, your heart enters a phase that feels like both breaking and rebuilding at the same time. You replay memories in your mind, not to hold on, but to understand, not to suffer, but to find clarity, not to blame, but to awaken. And your heart whispers, I deserved something gentler than this. This realization is not arrogance, it is healing. Allah reveals reality so your heart can finally stop fighting for a place it was never meant to belong to. You begin to see how many times you held on to someone who was letting go of you quietly. You begin to see how many times you forgave what they never apologized for. You begin to see how much you loved someone who loved you only when it was convenient. And you understand now why Allah showed you the truth. Your soul was slowly suffocating in a place where your heart was not safe. Your mind was trying to make peace with things your spirit had been rejecting for months. Your loyalty was keeping you in spaces Allah was trying to pull you out of. And because Allah loves you, He does not let you stay in darkness when He knows the light ahead is meant for you. So He removes the veil from your heart. He removes the illusion from your eyes. He removes the attachment from your soul. He removes the person from your path. Not because you failed, but because they were not written in your tomorrow. You may feel empty for a while. You may feel lost. You may feel lonely. You may feel like a chapter of your life ended too suddenly. But emptiness is not punishment. It is preparation. It is Allah creating space inside your heart for someone sincere to arrive. Because sincerity needs room. It needs a safe heart. It needs an open soul. It needs emotional space that the wrong person was occupying. A heart filled with the wrong love cannot recognize the right one. So Allah empties the heart to fill it with something better. You may not realize it now, but there is someone written for you whose heart is shaped to fit yours. Someone whose soul aligns with your soul. Someone whose loyalty mirrors your loyalty. Someone whose sincerity matches your sincerity. Their love will not drain you. It will steady you. Their presence will not confuse you. It will calm you. Their words will not hurt you. They will heal you. Their intentions will not shake you. They will protect you. But to receive this blessing, Allah must first show you who is not meant for this journey. What feels like loss now is clearing the path for a love that is real. You see, every heartbreak carries a message. Every ending carries a wisdom. Every exposure carries a blessing. Sometimes the blessing is not in gaining someone, it is in losing someone who was blocking your growth. Sometimes the blessing is not in holding on, it is in letting go before your heart shatters beyond repair. Sometimes the blessing is not in the person you loved, it is in the future person who will love you. The way Allah always intended for you to be loved. And you begin to realize the person Allah has written for you will not make you earn their loyalty. They will not make you question your worth. They will not disappear when you need comfort. They will not become silent when your heart shakes. They will not make you beg for their presence. They will not make you feel alone. Inside the relationship itself, their love will feel like home, not a battlefield. Their presence will feel like peace, not confusion. Their intentions will feel clear, not hidden. Their effort will feel consistent, not conditional. But before such a soul arrives, Allah must protect you from the one who was pretending to be written for you. And that is why He exposed their reality, not to shame them, not to punish them, not to embarrass you, but to save you from building your life around a person who was not built for your heart. It is mercy disguised as pain. It is protection disguised as heartbreak. It is a blessing disguised as loss. And perhaps the most beautiful part is this. Once Allah exposes someone's reality, you will never again feel the same attachment to them. Your love doesn't disappear overnight, but your blindness does. Your illusion fade. Your fantasy dissolves. Your soul steps into truth. And in truth, your heart finds freedom. You start appreciating yourself again. You start valuing your worth again. You start respecting your softness again. You start believing that you deserve sincerity because Allah showed you insincerity to prepare you for sincerity. You begin to realize that the ending was not cruel, it was sacred. It was Allah rewriting your destiny in a way that protects your heart and honors your future. It was Allah saying, my servant, this door must close so a better door can open. And slowly, your heart begins to heal. Not because the past was easy, but because the future that Allah planned is filled with someone whose sincerity will make you forget every moment of doubt you ever felt. Someone whose love will feel like a dua answered softly. Someone whose loyalty will feel like a gentle sunrise. Someone whose presence will feel like the safety you always longed for. Someone who won't be perfect, but will be perfect for you. And when that person finally enters your life, you will thank Allah for every tear you cried, because each tear washed away a person who was never meant for your story. And in that moment, your heart will whisper, Ya Allah, thank you for showing me the truth when I didn't have the courage to see it myself. And you will finally understand Allah exposed what wasn't real so He could prepare you for what is beautifully, sincerely, undeniably real. If you reach the end of this message, it means your heart was searching for clarity long before you pressed play. It means you were tired of guessing people's intentions, tired of carrying pain in silence, tired of giving chances to hearts that were not written for yours. And today, Allah gave you exactly what your heart needed. Not answers from the world, but answers from Him. Whatever truth Allah showed you, whatever sign He placed in your heart, whatever feeling became clear tonight, don't ignore it anymore. Allah does not put heaviness in your chest without purpose. Allah does not shake your peace without protection. Allah does not expose someone's reality unless something better is waiting quietly for you. And my dear brother, my dear sister, please listen carefully. You are not losing anyone. You are being guided away from what would have broken you later. What you call loss today will become the reason you finally step into the life Allah has been preparing for you. You may not see the full picture yet, but trust the one who holds it. You may not understand the timing, but trust the one who writes it. You may not know what's coming next, but trust the one who knows every moment that will ever unfold for you. Tonight, let your heart rest. Let your mind breathe. Let your soul soften. You don't have to chase clarity anymore. Allah has already given it to you. You don't have to fear the future. Allah has already arranged it for you. Walk forward with calmness. Walk forward with dignity. Walk forward with trust. Because when Allah removes someone, He replaces them with someone better, someone sincere, someone written, someone whose loyalty matches your heart and whose presence brings you peace, not confusion. And when that person arrives, you will look back at this moment and understand every tear had wisdom, every delay had purpose, every exposure had mercy, every ending had protection. Your story is not falling apart, it is falling into place. So close your eyes for a moment and whisper quietly in your heart, Ya Allah, I trust what you choose for me more than what I wanted for myself. May Allah heal your heart, replace your pain with clarity, replace your confusion with peace, and replace every wrong person with someone written for your soul. Ameen.